August 11th, 1994. This was the day they'd all hoped to avoid.
He's coming to his first game. First and last game ever.
The owners.
It is a big business. The gross revenue dollars of baseball are approximately $2 billion a year.
The players.
We make a lot of money, but I still think what we do is fair.
The stadium workers.
I think it stinks, really. I mean, the guys make all that money. We out here, busting our butt.
The fans.
I hate it because, they already have enough money. Why do they need more money?
A day in the life of Major League Baseball. Strike. This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Camden Yards in Baltimore, Ted Koppel. Baltimore. Pre-dawn today. When the Orioles are about to begin a homestand, Chief Engineer Howard Rothaus is here by 5:30. This is Oriole Park at Camden Yards, one of the most modern ballparks in America. It is nostalgic by design.
The park is beautiful in the morning. It's the best time. No one's here. It's quiet. You get to play around all you want.
Rothaus checks out the electronic scoreboard. He pops in a CD to make sure that the stadium sound system is functioning properly.
So what's the neighborhood think of the Rolling Stones at 6 in the morning?
Haven't got too many complaints.
There is, as we are all coming to understand, a lot more to Major League Baseball than the game. And the ball players are not the only people who came to work this morning looking at what may be their last day on the payroll for a while.
It's going to be weird not having no money in our pockets. So I'm going to have to go out and find something else to do if we do go out.
I'm going to miss the people that I work with, because there's a lot of good people work here. It's 20-some, 2,000 people here, and I know a lot of them. I've been here going on 3 years.
The fact of the matter is that early this morning, no one is altogether sure what will happen by the end of the day, nor for that matter, why.
I really don't understand why there's a strike, because to me, they make more money than I do. So what's the purpose of a strike?
If any of our players had wanted to talk to the media on...
At 10 o'clock, the Orioles Public Relations Director, Charles Steinberg, has called a production meeting with his staff. One of his concerns, what music to play after tonight's game when the strike presumably begins and the fans may be feeling resentful.
Songs that are out there for consideration are the Shirelles' Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? We have a pair of Please Don't Go songs, KC and Sonny and Cher.
By mid-morning, there is a sense of inevitability about the strike. Until now, people have been talking about what they will do if the strike takes place. Now, they're beginning to discuss what they will do when it happens. The process involves a gradual peeling away of illusions. The image of baseball as a game is gradually giving way to the less appealing reality of baseball as a business, confronting a serious labor management problem. As of mid-morning, no further negotiations have been scheduled. The empty ballpark remains, for the moment, a place of promise. There is still at least one more game to be played here. But along with the threat of rain, there is the growing uncertainty of when the next game will be scheduled. In Hillsborough, Carolina, the uncertainty, the unpleasantness, and today's game against the Boston Red Sox are still a 6-hour bus ride away. The 20 members of the local Babe Ruth League and many of their fathers are bound for Baltimore to watch Peter Angelos' baseball team play what may be an historic game. Pete, late morning, game day, normally this is a happy time of day for you.
Ordinarily, yes, Ted. Unfortunately, today, it's the game, of course, is exciting, but the prospects of the season ending so prematurely is a very depressing thought.
Why has it come to this point?
Well, I think the relationships between players and management for many years have not been ideal. And this time, in this labor management discussion and negotiation, because of the nature of the issues at hand, the relationship is even more acrimonious, and that doesn't augur well for a resolution of the dispute.
On this point, at least, there is complete agreement between management and the players. Mike Messina, who pitched his 16th win of the year last Sunday, is the players' representative for the Orioles. We talked at his rented townhouse outside Baltimore.
I think the whole situation has gotten to this point because nobody communicates very well. I don't think the owners communicate well with us. I don't think we communicate back to them.
You were telling me before we started the interview that normally being a player rep doesn't involve a whole hell of a lot.
No.
If you'd known what it was going to involve this year, would you just assume that cup would have passed to someone else?
No, I enjoyed the job. I kind of took it because I wanted to see what was on the other side of baseball. Most people don't see the business side except when there's a strike situation. They don't understand the intricacies of pension and of health and benefits and licensing and all this other stuff that, you know, they just go out and buy the baseball cards and go to the ballpark and watch the guys play.
Now that you've seen it?
It's a business. This is a business, pure and simple. There's no doubt about it. It's America's pastime, but it's kind of close to America's business pastime now, and there's nothing any of us can do about it.
You sound like a man who's lost a little bit of his innocence.
No, I'm 25 years old. I just
lost it a long time ago.
I may have. I just love to play, and all 800 guys in the big leagues love to play. And if we could keep it a game, you know, we'd keep it a game, but it's too big for that.
No, I'm here.
When we come back, packing it in.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Cadillac.
There is a reason that the souvenir stands open early at Major League ballparks. The kids from the Hillsborough, North Carolina Babe Ruth League arrived at Camden Yards with about 3.5 hours to kill before game time and 5 extra tickets, which they unloaded without too much trouble. Then they started shopping in earnest. This sort of thing, obviously, will also come to an end with the strike. Baseball is a big part of the local economy.
The restaurants that are around here, the bars, the hotels, this is 70% of their nut. 70% of their annual business comes as a result of Oriole baseball.
Giuseppe Costagliola has a restaurant just across the street from Camden Yards.
It's going to be hot. It's going to be tough. It's going to be ugly. People, they're going to lose job. Our income is going to low very, very much.
The nearby Marriott is already feeling the effect of a strike that hasn't even begun.
Just this weekend alone, when you look at what our occupancy could have been and what it will be, there's a dramatic effect. We've seen an awful lot of cancellations from Boston fans who are going to come into Baltimore and go to the games this weekend.
Some of the fans have been waiting since noon for standing room only tickets. These are clearly people who love the game, but it's equally clear that they don't love what's happening to it.
I think that the fans should strike instead of the players. We pay good money to come watch the game, and they're making $100 million a game or whatever.
What's the strike about? The strike's about money. That's what everything is about, money.
No, the players and the owners. I think the players are pretty greedy, and and I think the owners are too. I think both sides are wrong.
Under the stadium, in the clubhouse, the players are suiting up for the game and packing up for the strike.
I'm going to clean stuff out tonight. I'm going to be back here tomorrow. I'm going to make sure I get most of my stuff out here tonight.
Some of the guys here are emptying out their lockers. Some are kind of hanging in waiting. You look like one of the waiters.
Well, you didn't look at this side of the locker.
Ah, Those are yours?
These are my boxes, yeah. But most of the baseball stuff, the stuff that I need to play is going to stay. I'm just going to pack a few things, take home to Texas.
The guys who get hurt the most on a day-by-day basis, obviously, are the men who make the most money. Fellas like you.
True. But I think what people don't understand is that the reason that we're in this position is because guys like myself in the past stood together by what they believed in, and that's why we're in this position right now, making the kind of money that we're making, and we have to stay together.
It's your last chance. Get a pretzel in a baseball game. It's going to be a long year, folks. It's a long year without baseball and a terrible year without pretzels. What are you going to do, sit home and watch reruns eating hard pretzels?
Strike shirts, $10.
Look at these people. All these people, we know each other by names. Baseball is just part of America. It's the greatest.
Jerry Collier is the most successful beer vendor at Camden Yards. He is so aggressive, they call him the Terminator.
I'm a banker, investment banker. Do this because I love baseball. Love the fans. Just says it all, you know.
Even Jerry, the personification of positive thinking, is a little pessimistic this evening.
I mean, you think the guy selling beer doesn't make that much money, but if you work hard, you really can. So it's going to hurt. And even though I have another job, I just bought a house, it's going to hurt.
Upstairs, in the owner's office, Peter Angelos is glum. What's happening? Have you had any interesting phone calls?
No, I haven't heard a word, really, from any of the other owners.
But as I look at my watch right now, 4:20 in the afternoon, no more hope than there was when you and I met this morning?
No, I'm afraid not. I think the strike at this moment appears to be absolutely inevitable.
Strike or no strike, there is one more game scheduled for this evening, and so, as on any other game day, the players take batting practice. But when you see the horde of reporters around players rep Mike Messina, it's abundantly clear that the game tonight is a secondary story.
Yeah.
Umpire Jim McKean, 22 years with the American League, prepares for tonight's game by defacing the balls. That's what they call it, defacing them. The game has changed, says McKean.
Most of the players carry attaché cases. It's now an attaché case league. They're all big business people, which is more power to them. They've deserved it and they've got it. But the game has definitely changed that way.
The 1994 Baltimore Orioles about to have their team photograph taken. Actually, it was not supposed to be taken today. It was supposed to be taken tomorrow. But then, well, let Johnny Oates tell you about it.
And we even got nervous last week when there was a possibility of walking out even a week early, realizing there was a possibility this could be the first Oriole team ever in history not to have a team photo.
We made the iron.
Finally, it was 7:30, game time. But it's been that kind of a day. It was raining, and the start of what may be the end was delayed.
The center fielder, number 2, Otis Nixon.
They started the game, finally, about 40 minutes late. The rain trailed off just long enough to permit play to get underway. About 2.5 innings worth. And then it really started pouring. Consider it Mother Nature's commentary on a game that was being grudgingly played to begin with. There is something about human nature that causes us to take a certain amount of comfort in shared misfortune. The solitary soaking is miserable. The communal experience is strangely reassuring.
Strike doesn't start till midnight. Great band, they make play again.
We drove 400 miles to see this game, and we're not leaving until it's over.
Everybody feels like they're being robbed here by the players and by the owners. But at least if it has to end, the New York Yankees will not be in the postseason.
The kids from Hillsborough, the ones from the Babe Ruth League, were disappointed but philosophical.
First time I've been up here, it's just sort of been a downer coming up here.
It doesn't sour you on baseball, does it?
No, I still love the game, but and I think a lot of the players still love the game too. A lot of the greed and the promotions and publicity and all that, it's just sort of spoiled them.
What you may be seeing here could be the end of the 1994 baseball season.
Oh, I hope not. I love baseball and I love to watch it. And I love the World Series, so I hope this isn't it.
But it took one of the fathers, Dan Ashley, the man who planned this trip to Baltimore about 6 months ago, to put the baseball strike into some kind of perspective.
I think once they got a lot to iron out right now, it's going to be their problem. We're going back to Hillsborough and play baseball next week, whether they play or not. So it's still a kid's game, in my opinion of it. Away from playing for fun, it kind of sport. These kids, like I said, we try to teach the kids to play for fun, play the good part of the game, teach them good habits.
By 10:45, it is still pouring. Jim McKeon, crew chief of the umpires, has not yet decided whether to call the game.
It's raining cats and dogs out there. There hasn't been anything like this since Noah was building his ark, and you guys are still sitting here trying to decide whether or not to call the game. I mean, why is it such a tough call?
You know, Ted, in this situation, this might be our last game this year, and Baltimore, being the franchise that it is drawing 50,000 every night, and as of now, we do not have the game in. And we try our darndest to get all the...
You say you don't have the game in.
In other words, we do not have the crowd recorded. In other words, the tickets are not paid for till we play 5 complete innings. So he doesn't have the ballpark counted for until we get 5 complete innings. We've only played 3 innings.
You mean
he will
Baltimore doesn't get the revenue? They would have to issue
They would have to refund or whatever they'd have to do to give the money back until we play 5 complete innings. So really, this is one of the big decisions that umpires have to make off the field. There's a lot of money involved here.
Once again, perhaps inevitably, the conversation has come back to money. A few thousand people were left in the stadium. The forecast was for more rain, perhaps 2 hours more, but with fewer than 3 innings played, this game would not count, and that in turn would cost the Baltimore Orioles somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million. Common sense might dictate calling the game, even this last game before the strike, but the business of baseball delayed that decision until 11:20, at which time the game was finally postponed. Joining me now for a final comment or two, the owner of the Baltimore Orioles, Peter Angelos. It's been a long day, and now you've lost, what, $800,000 on top of it,
well, right? Let's say gross revenues, not profit.
It is a tough decision, but Lord, it is tough to look upon this now, after this day that we've spent with you, as a fun game anymore. How do you find any fun in this game anymore?
Well, there's a great deal of fun in it, providing a recreational pursuit such as baseball for the people of the metropolitan area, and a wonderful group of kids all the way from Hillsborough, North Carolina, is a fun opportunity. So we get a big charge out of it. We don't really make any money with it, despite reports to the contrary, or very little, but it's still a great opportunity.
I've been asking you the same question since we met early this morning, then again this afternoon. May as well ask you now. Any reason to believe, I mean, now the strike is officially underway, it's just about midnight. Any reason to believe that this is going to be a short strike?
Well, a couple of days ago I would have answered negatively, but there have been some indications today and some conversations I've had with some of the owners who must remain unnamed, that there seems to be some movement on both sides to try to make this strike a short one, and hopefully that will work out.
Why did it have to wait until the last minute?
Well, that is the nature of all labor management disputes. I've had some experience in that area, and I think everyone seems to wait until the last moment, and here it's beyond that last moment. The strike is on, and I hope that everyone on both sides reconsiders what's happened and moves to eliminate this work stop.
How many owners altogether?
28.
And you've got 3, 4, counting you, who think that maybe something can be done. That doesn't sound totally optimistic.
They're the only ones I've heard from, but I expect tomorrow and the days ahead that we'll be hearing from more of them.
Where is there room for compromise, Peter?
Well, I think the two sides ought to put aside the acrimony and the constant snarling at each other and sit at the table using their great talents and sit down and try to work this out. I think it can be worked out, and obviously it should be.
But where is there room for compromise?
Well, our position is that baseball is in a financial crisis, that in '94 we'll lose $100 million cumulatively. The Orioles are not losing money. And in '95, the losses will exceed $150 million. If we can prove that to the satisfaction of the other side, that is the players group, then I think they should agree to sit down and consider various options for dealing with that crisis.
Peter, we're down to our last few seconds. I think you're going to have more trouble convincing your fellow owners than you are convincing that the players have been saying all along. See the accounting sheets.
Well, they've
right?
said that, but not loudly enough. We'd like to get them to speak up a little bit louder and also get the owners to be more forthcoming with the financial information, because therein lies the first solution, and then we can begin constructive and sensible talks.
As we say goodnight, are you depressed?
Just slightly, but I'm also optimistic.
Peter Angelos, thanks very much for your hospitality, and thanks for spending so much time with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'll be back in a moment. Camden Yards behind me is wet and empty, and in a couple of minutes it will be dark. Down below Camden Yards in the locker room, this was the scene just a few minutes ago as some of the players were packing up their belongings, many of them to go home and wait out the result of the negotiations. For the moment, it doesn't look good. The players' rep tonight was blaming the owners rep tonight was blaming the players. What else is new? The end of a long day, the beginning of what we can only hope will be a short strike. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel at Camden Yards. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
If you wish a printed transcript of Nightline, call Journal Graphics at 1-800-ALL-NEWS. If you wish a video cassette version of Nightline, the cost is $14.98, plus $3.95 shipping and handling. Call 1-800-ABC-9420.
Nightline is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.